Hello and welcome to Smart Student class. In this class, we bring lessons which will make us come out as better students with better grades at the end of our academic journeys. And so today, we are going to look at the table of contents and page numbers. In our last lesson, we did an assignment and we went through the three major parts of an assignment. And just to mention them, we said they are the cover page, the body of the assignment, and the references. So today I want us to go back to our assignment and put the page numbers and the table of contents. We want to do these things, these two items, we want to do them automatically. We want to do automatic page numbering and automatic table of contents. And let me touch just a little bit on each one of them. For the table of contents, it's always good to use an automatic table of contents because sometimes you may do the table of contents and a little bit later or in a while you decide to put more content in your assignment. When you do that normally, some titles are pushed to the next page. And if you've done your table of contents manually, you'll need to go back to the table of content and go through the document manually, confirming whether each title is on the right page as per the table of contents, which is really tedious and it's just tedious. So the best way is to do an automatic table of content, because in case you've worked on your document later, maybe you've entered some data, you deleted or added more, and the titles have changed their pages, you just go back to the table of contents, click update, and you just update, and it updates itself. And in case you forget to update your table of content, when you go to print your work, normally the table of content will show you bookmark. It will just indicate bookmark. And if you go through your work, you realize that you did not update your table of content. Unlike in manual table of content, where you just print, you go add in your assignment, and then when your lecturer goes through your work, the pages do not match the work. And because the intention of these lessons is to make our work stand out. That's why I recommend it's always important to do an automatic table of content. When we come to the page numbers, for an assignment, you can just start paging your work from the cover page, though it is not the best way. There are some documents which have preliminary pages. Preliminary pages are those pages where you have like declaration, acknowledgement, and such. Those are preliminary pages. And in such documents, we normally give those preliminary pages Roman numbers. And then page 1, Arabic page number, starts on where introduction starts. Because, for example, let's say you've been given an assignment and you've been asked to do 10 pages. If you number your work from the cover page is not an assignment. It's just, as we said, for identification. The table of content is not an assignment. It is just to make your work smarter and easy to access each topic. So basically, if you've done 10 pages and you name your work from page 1, the last page will be page 10. But basically, you'll have done 8 pages because the first page is the cover page, and then if you've done table of content, that's the second page. So basically, your work starts from page 3, which is the introduction. But if you do the numbering, like you page the first page, the cover page, you don't page it, and then the table of content, you put a Roman page, and then your page starts on the introduction. That's where the page 1 starts. It's easier to know how many pages you've done at a glance. It's easier to know how many pages you've done. So we are going to learn how to break those pages so that we can do the preliminary pages or the Roman pages, and then do the Arabic pages, and then also do the table of content. And now let's go to the screen and visit the work we did in our earlier lesson, and then we do the pagination and we do the table of content. Please come with me to the screen. So this is our document, the one we did during the last lesson. It's a document we are working on today, and we want to generate the table of content and then do the page numbers automatically. So we are going to start with the table of content. For the table of content, what normally happens, we look at the titles we have. Do we have titles and subtitles and subtitles? In this case, our document has only major titles, which means we are going to do a level 1 table of content. What I mean by level 1 table of content is that all the titles, we are going to give them the same heading. In this case, we are going to use heading 1 because we treat them as major headings. And what we do when we are now generating the process of generating the table of content, now we go to our first heading, which is the introduction, because there's nothing to do on the cover page when we are doing the table of content. So we go to our first heading, which is the introduction. We highlight it, and then while we are there, we click heading 1. If you notice, it has changed from Times New Roman to Calibri 14. So we want to format that heading to the former format because it was Times New Roman 12. So what we do is, while it's still highlighted, we go to the fonts, we put 12, and then we put Times New Roman, and then we don't want it to be blue. So we go to the letters, colors, and then we put black, and then we check whether our spacing remains. Our spacing has changed to 1.15, so we put it 1.5. Introduction is still highlighted. Remember, when we go to the next title and give it heading 1, we will have to go through that process again of changing the font, changing the color, changing the spacing. To avoid all that tedious work, while we are here, we go back to heading 1, we right click, and then we say update heading to match selection. So as long as we are giving the next heading 1, it will now pick all those details automatically. It will pick them automatically, unless we give it another heading which we have not updated. So we go to the next title in our document, which is this one. So we highlight it, we give it heading 1, we go to the next one, we give it heading 1, we go repeating this procedure up to the last page, give it heading 1, continue giving them heading 1, conclusion heading 1, references heading 1. If you have noticed, once we give them heading 1, it's like the space above that title increases a bit, like this one. If you don't want your document to have that extraordinary space because it's a little bit big, you highlight just n of the titles, just n of them. You come here, you say remove space. After that, whilst it is still highlighted, you go back to heading 1, you say update. All of them will remove that space, because once you update here, it picks automatically. But if you want that space to remain for one reason or another, you can highlight again, just go back there, add space. You add when you click here, there is add space here or here, so you've added the one on top, and then we go back there and update heading to match selection, and we've retained our space. Now we have finished giving the titles the headings. What is the next step? We go back to where we want to our table of content to appear. Normally, table of content, that page is a preliminary page. So because it is the only preliminary page we have, and normally preliminary pages come after the cover page, then from there we go to the main work. You cannot have a preliminary page in between the main work. So what we are going to do, it is the only preliminary page we have in this document. So it is going to come immediately after the cover page. So that is above the introduction. So we put our cursor there, we drop it a bit to give us space, and then we click there. Then once our cursor is there, we come to references. We can go to table of contents. There's a list there. I normally use the second or the third, so I will choose the second one, and we have generated our table of contents. But because we want it on its own page, now we come to introduction. You can drop it manually like this, or you can control enter, and it goes to the other page. Now our document has a table of contents. Now we want to do the page numbers. So we come back to the cover page. In this case, we are not going to put a number page on our cover page. So from here, there is a difference between this page and the next page. So what do we do? Where a difference is occurring, you put a page break. So we put our cursor at the end of that page. Then we come to page layout. Then we say breaks. Then we say next page. That's how we put a page break. Now you've noticed it has just jumped to one page and gone to another page, so there's a blank page, so we delete this page. Where else do we want a change? Immediately after the table of contents, we want a change because the table of contents is going to have a Roman page number because it's a preliminary page. And we said preliminary pages, we normally give them Roman page numbers. So we want a change between this page and the next page. So which means we are going to have a page break here because it's where we want a change before we go to the other page. So we put our cursor there and we put another page break there. So we come to breaks, next page. And as usual, it has jumped another page. Some documents do that. I don't know why, but some documents do that. So we delete this empty page. Now we have page breaks in our document. Now the final stage is to put the page numbers. So what we do, we come here. We normally start on the page, even on the first page, even if we don't want a page there. That's where we normally start putting the page numbers. So we come there, we say insert, page number. We choose bottom, center, and there we have the page number. But we don't want a page number on that page number. So what we do, we highlight that page, and you see immediately we put that we inserted the page numbers. This screen came. The one under the sign. So we say different. After we highlight the page number, we say different first page. So the page has disappeared. So we can go to the next page. It has disappeared, but this one shows page 2 and we want a Roman page number. So we highlight it. We say insert, page number, format page numbers because we just want to format that page number. We come here and we select Roman pages. And then we come start at, we want it to start at page 1. You can put it manually or just use the arrows. And then we say OK. So you see now our table of contents as Roman page 1. Then we go to introduction to see which page do we have there. This is where now the Arabic page numbers are starting. But now it is starting at page 2 and we don't want that. We want it to start at page 1. So we highlight that page. We go to insert again. Page number, we format that. Then we say start at page 1. Once again, you can put it manually or you can use the arrows. Then we say OK. And now our document is fully paged, the right pagination. Now we come to the table of contents now. We click
the table of content, you can click anywhere, and then it brings updates. Then you click update, you say update, you accept page numbers only, and there you are. And now, because this one is a preliminary page, we highlight this one, and then we put it caps, capital letters, and then when you look at this one, it is Cabria, and we want it Times Roman, so we just highlight, we put 12, we put Times New Roman, and we put 1.5, and our document is now ready. Our document is now ready. The formatting is done well. The pagination is done well. It has a table of contents. And basically, I would say 99% of the document is now ready for submission. Apart from maybe those extras you may want to do, like spiral binding your work, or maybe tape binding it, or just putting it in any cover as you may want to submit it. But as per the formatting and editing, our document is now ready for printing and submission. And that brings us to the end of our today's lesson. Please, in your comments, you can put any question concerning this document. I will go through it on my own and see whether there is anything that we might have forgotten. Like when we were doing the last lesson, we forgot to put the date of submission here on the cover page, where we should put it immediately after the question. So we can always put date of submission there. But that was just an oversight. So the reason it is behaving like that is because of the justification. So we can highlight it and just right on the left, it will go back to its original place, and then you uppercase it. Then now you can fill in the date you are supposed to submit your work there. And I think there isn't much that we can do to the document. It's now ready for submission. So thank you very much for participating and being with us up to the last minute of this presentation. Please put in our comment section anything that you may want us to talk about, and we will be very, very glad to walk this journey with you. Thank you very much.
And so that brings us to the end of today's lesson. If you like it, please go share, like, subscribe. And if you have any comment, put it in our comment section. You can also suggest what you want us to talk about in the next lesson or in the lessons to come. Thank you very much, and God bless you.